Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We're really happy to have you here for the wellness workshop. My name is Caitlin. I'm the Intercultural Programming Support Officer with the International Education Center. So my role is to work with other organizations and departments, such as health services, to organize events for international students. And I also run the International Peer Mentorship Program. And running today's event is Caprice and Elizabeth, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you guys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caprice, and thank you, Caitlin, so much for having us here. We deeply appreciate it. My name is Caprice, like I said, and I'm the Health Promotion and Education Coordinator at Health Services. And we also have Elizabeth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Elizabeth, and
I think you're muted there, Elizabeth.
Sorry.
Oh, you're muted.
Every time, I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. My name is Elizabeth. I'm an international student, and I'm a second-year student of the Fitness and Health Promotion Program. And we're very happy to have you all here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And we also have Ronnie, who just popped up. She has the nice beach background going, and she is a student promoter, also with health services with our team. And she'll just be providing links at the end that help you as students and maybe faculty or staff help their students for the rest of the term. So if you see her name pop up, you know what it's for. All right, so I think we're just about ready to get started. It seems like everyone's admitted. And I will just go ahead and share my screen now. Sorry, just give me one moment. Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Always technical difficulties. All right, so we're presenting our wellness workshop for international students. So as I move through this workshop, you'll likely notice some icons here on the side, and that's just an indicator of what topic we are on, just as an indicator to you. So first, I'll talk about health services and what we do, what we offer. Then we'll get into general health. And then you'll notice here that we're going to go through all the steps to maintain your mental wellness and wellness overall. So first is nutrition, second is fitness, third, sleep, and then fourth is social support and building a social support network. And of course, as an overview, we will provide our stress reduction links and other resources to support you, and also services at student support services and at the IEC that can help you do well throughout this academic term. Okay. So what is health services? So we are a medical clinic. We're a clinic that functions the same way that other clinics do in the city. It is a drop-in service, typically drop-in when the pandemic isn't active. Right now, you can still access us virtually. So we are available Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. All you have to do is give us a call at this number here. Our extension is 7222. And when you call, you can book an appointment with the same doctor or nurse that you regularly see. If you are someone who needs a family doctor and you're new to Canada, definitely come to health services and you'll be able to find your doctor there. And of course, we have all the support staff there. We have doctors, nurses, and front-end staff to support you. I also work there. So if you're ever on campus and you want to see me, you can drop by our clinic and we have our health promotion team there. And I'll hand it off to Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caprice. Okay, now let's talk about health and wellness. Next slide, please. in this slide, we can see the wellness continuum, which basically, as you can see, in one side, we have low level of wellness, and in the opposite side, we have high level of wellness. And also, as you can see, we have 6 aspects of wellness. So now it's time to do a self-reflection and to think to ourselves. How am I feeling in my intellectual wellness? Am I feeling okay? Am I satisfied? What am I doing to nourish my brain? And also we have think about how am I feeling about my spiritual wellness? How am I feeling about my core values, my deep beliefs? Am I feeling well? Am I feeling in peace? How about my emotional wellness? Am I feeling good? Am I feeling sad, stressed, worried? And also let's think about how am I doing in my social wellness? Am I interacting with others? Am I establishing social connections, social relationships? Am I happy with that? And finally, how about we have 2 more. How about our physical wellness? Am I feeling good with my body? Am I feeling like strong enough to face all the chores that I have to do? And finally, how about the environmental wellness? Am I good with the environment? Am I having a good time outside with my surroundings? So according to your answers, you can place yourself at some point in all this continuum to think about a little bit more about how are you feeling in general, okay?
And one thing, we'll talk about the mental health continuum, but I'm just going to pause for a moment and say, if you ever have any questions or concerns, feel free to place them in the chat. And Ronnie and Caitlin are available there. They can answer your questions. And we should have time at the end for a little question Q&A period so that we can help you before we leave, okay? All right, now back to our presentation here. So here is another continuum. It's how we demonstrate mental illness versus mental wellness. So when it comes to mental health in general, many people think that it's binary. You either don't have a mental illness, which is here on the left, or you do, okay? But it's actually much more complicated than that. There's your wellness here. And wellness is what changes when we are based on our behaviors. So today we are trying to give everyone skills to maintain their optimal mental wellness. We want everyone to be on this upper half of this graph here. But to give you an example of how this works, if you're someone without a mental illness, but you're languishing, that means that maybe you're not sleeping well. You are new to the country and you don't have a lot of social support here. Maybe you're struggling with the language and your ability to communicate with your professors, and that's really stressful for you. You'd be languishing, and we don't want that. We're trying to give you skills so that you can be up here. On the other hand, maybe you're someone with a mental illness, and you're maybe not taking your medication, or you're not seeing your doctor or psychiatrist regularly. And again, similar to the other person over here, maybe you're not sleeping well because of that. You're feeling overly stressed and you don't know how you're going to reach your goals. That's okay to be on this lower half, but we're just trying to get everyone up here. And to do that, we'll be going through nutrition, sleep, social support, and physical exercise, right? If you're doing all those things, even without a mental illness, you're flourishing. Even with a mental illness, let's say you're taking your medication, you're seeing your doctor, you've developed a group of really helpful people who can help guide you throughout your academic career, you're going to be flourishing. And we'll talk more about this later as well.
Well, now here are some situations that may affect mental health of international students. Let us know if you have experienced some of these aspects here. We will be very happy to hear you. So we have some personal stressors. As you all know, the admission selection procedure that we have faced before to be able to be here, it could be a little bit challenging. And it is even more challenging in the middle of a world of a global pandemic, right? So, and probably we have future plans. Probably we want to go to a university or to apply for a work permit or for a permanent residence. So that procession could be a little bit stressful. Also, transitioning into the Canadian society and post-secondary context may be challenging because it's something new, it's another culture, so probably we have had some challenge here. Also, we have some alterations in individuals' beliefs and values. This is very important because here in Canada, it's very common to be in touch with people from other cultures, and talking with them probably make us think a little bit about what are my beliefs, what are my values, how about my identity and my behavior? Am I doing it wrong or am I doing it well? So that could be a little bit shocking. And very important, our English language proficiency. Sometimes we are very scared to speak in another language, and it is very, very scary. And sometimes we're very worried about not doing it properly, right? And how about homesickness? Sometimes we can miss our parents or family or bedroom or dishes. So sometimes we can experience some homesickness as well.
Not only that, but there are contextual stressors. So Canada has a geographical location and the weather. Lately, we've gotten a lot of snow, and that on its own can be very overwhelming and stressful, especially if you're new to winter and the type of winter that we have here in Ottawa. And of course, there's greater academic demands. When you're in a new country and you want to do really well, sometimes that can really stress you out, especially if there are also family expectations. We know that as an international student, it can be very expensive to be studying in a new environment or in a different country. And if you're feeling down or feel like you're struggling, you can feel a sense of guilt. So how do we overcome that? Elizabeth will talk about that.
Thank you, Caprice. Well, here are some tips to overcome the troubling issues that may affect our mental health. How about socializing with our peers? That could be a very, very good opportunity to practice our English skills. Now that we are here, we have this opportunity. So let's make the most of this experience. How about staying in touch with friends and family from your home country using several tools that we have available right now, such as messages, calls, video calls, memes, or practicing physical activity regularly? Try to find something that you just love so you can resist to do that. Probably with this weather, we have difficult times to feeling like we want to go outside, but believe me, it could be very, very a great experience to go outside and to play with snow a little bit. Very important, ask for help. It could be anyone. It could be your teachers, your peers, your friends, your coordinators. Contact your student success specialist. We are not alone. We also have health services, as Caprice mentioned before, so we are not alone here. We have a whole institution that is supporting us and helping us to succeed. And very important, nourish your body. Try to have a balanced patterns of eating. We know sometimes it's challenging, but we can do a lot to nourish our body.
Okay. So now we're going to get into a little bit more detail on each topic. We're going to begin with nutrition. Okay, so I know that food is a big thing. It's very close to everyone's hearts. We take it very seriously. And when it's disrupted, our eating patterns are disrupted because you're in a new country, that can be really concerning. It might be really challenging to find the type of cuisine, the type of food that we're most used to and comfortable with, especially when it comes to portion sizes, drinks, and the availability of the food. I'm Caribbean, and I know that finding a specialty Caribbean store can be really hard, and it takes up a lot of time to try and get to that place, get all the groceries, and actually put your meal together. And with that, there's also an increased responsibility for food. So maybe you're still young, you're a young student, and you're in a new country, and then you're entirely responsible for all your meals. Maybe your family was part of putting your meals together, and now you have to do it all alone. So how do I start? What is the nutrition that I need? How do I create a balanced diet? We'll talk about that.
Well, to have a balanced diet, we have this tool that it's called the Eat Well Plate, and it's available in the Canadian Food Guide. Basically, we can divide our plate in three sections, and the main section, one half of the plate, must include fruits and vegetables, as you can see here. 1/4 of this plate could be protein. It could be plant-based protein, or it could be animal-based protein, as you can see here in the picture. And the left quarter is for whole grains food. It could be processed food, as you can see here, the pasta and the bread, but try to find those that are made with whole grains, and also limit highly processed foods. And very, very important, make water your drink of choice. A friendly reminder is that if you are experiencing negative emotions before, during, or after eating, ask for help.
That's certainly true. Sorry about that, Elizabeth. Okay, some extra helpful tips, especially when we're busy and you're going from class to class, or maybe you have an on-campus lab and you're hungry, to always have a snack or a small meal in your backpack, something that you're familiar with, that you know won't upset your stomach or your body overall, okay? And the next is to meal prep. Some people ask, what is meal prep? It's meal preparation. So that's something that you typically do at the very beginning of the week, so that you have your meals ready to go on the day of throughout the week. So for me, I like to meal prep on Sunday. So that means chopping up all my vegetables, getting my cooked meat cooked and ready to go. And sometimes it can feel overwhelming. Okay, so what I would suggest if you're new to meal preparation is to only prep one meal. So maybe you prep all your lunches for the week, or it's all your dinners, and see how that goes. And you can adjust and make changes wherever necessary. And lastly, enjoy your food. Food is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to nourish us. And it's also a way to connect with your culture. So of course, do what you can and find food that makes you happy.
And how about a physical activity as well? Well, this is a very, very important aspect. As you remember, we mentioned in the wellness continuum, the fitness wellness is a very, very important part of the general wellness. So, talking about fitness, we are aware that there are some situations that may affect physical activity of international students, such as time constraints. Probably we have a heavy academic workload, or probably we are working part-time. We are studying full-time and probably working part-time, so that may be a little bit challenging to find some time to do exercise. And also our language proficiency and feelings of inadequacy in sports setting as well. Probably we're not feeling very comfortable going there and trying to communicate ourselves in a sport environment. So probably those are important barriers to start doing physical activity. But hey, we always can do something at least.
Yes, and how you can get started is to address the Canadian Activity Guideline. So the guideline for aerobic activity, which is a movement that you would typically do, like running, jogging, swimming, that's aerobic activity. It suggested that you get at least 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous physical activity. So moderate is activity that you can do that maybe you're sweating a little bit, maybe it's a little bit difficult to have a conversation, but you're still able to talk and communicate with others. Vigorous is when you're going to the extreme. So maybe this is sprinting, where you cannot talk to anyone at all, you're breathing very heavily, you're sweating very heavily. That's the difference between the two. And I know that 150 minutes can seem like a lot. I suggest breaking it down into small pieces, and 10-minute bouts, which is just periods of exercise, is definitely suggested. It could be as simple as walking to school or taking a flight of stairs. When you are at school, if you're not at school, then maybe it is going outside for a nice walk after dinner. Or getting some activity in with some friends, maybe have a snowball fight outside. The next is to be aware of your bone strength and muscle strength. It's suggested that you get at least 2 days per week of weight training. That's another term that you can use. And I know that it can be intimidating, weight training, so definitely bring a friend with you. They can also be your accountability partner, someone who will make sure that you're getting your workouts in. When we are working virtually, I know that you're typically going to be spending a lot of time sitting, so get up as often as possible. Maybe set a timer, a 1-hour timer. After that timer goes off, spend 5 minutes just stretching. Maybe you can do a few push-ups here and there. Maybe you can take your dog out for a walk, like I mentioned earlier. And be very, very careful of the amount of time that you spend on your screen. Maybe recreational time can be incorporated with the physical activity that you can do.
So how can I start doing physical activity? Sometimes we can go from 0 to 100, and that's not sustainable during a period of time. So we suggest to start small, start little by little, and make it very easy. Doing just some movement, just the way that Caprice mentioned before, probably 10 minutes right now, and then another 10 minutes later. So little by little, you can start moving your body a little bit more. Very important is to stay focused. Focus on your why. Why are you doing physical activity? Think about your wellness, think about your health, think about how well you will feel after you actually do your workout. And choose an activity that you just love and that simply you can't resist to do that. It could be anything. And you have several options here to choose.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to sleep. Okay, so I know that sleep is the headstone of what is important to maintain our mental wellness. If you don't sleep, then you won't be able to focus during your classes, and that's unfortunate because we want you to do well, right? And I know that there's some differences in regional customs when it comes to sleep. The siesta is common in many different cultures, and that's taking a nap in part of the day. And we don't do that here in Canada. Typically, when you wake up, there's actually a culture of early morning people. So you spend most of the day awake and active and doing work, and we spend our evenings just sleeping or resting, relaxing, and whatnot. And that might be a little bit difficult for you if you're trying to adjust to that and you typically have a siesta. And of course, that gets into your irregular work and rest hours, especially if you're a student who has classes that are periodic. There are different times of the day. It's tempting to have naps in the middle of the day or to relax in the middle of the day when you really should be working, and that can be challenging. So we got to make adjustments here and there. And actually, Elizabeth will be talking about how to take naps without it becoming without it deeply impacting the sleep that takes place at night. And of course, different time zones between your home country and your host country is also problematic because many want to stay up late or wake up early to connect with their family and friends before they go off to school or to work. And we know that that's a priority. So how are we going to manage that?
Well, here are some tips for you. First of all, try to establish a regular schedule to go to bed and to wake up. It doesn't matter if you have class early or not. Try to be consistent with this schedule, to have a regulate your cycle. Set your clock alarms to allow you to sleep between 7 to 9 hours at night every night. Probably for some of us it's a lot. Probably for some of us that sounds like just a little. Just try to find what is best for you. And what about naps? As Caprice mentioned before, well, we can take daily naps cautiously because sometimes if we sleep a lot during the day, that could interfere with our sleep pattern, and probably that would interfere as well with the quality of our sleep. So between 5 or 30 minutes, taking a nap between 5 or 30 minutes would be something reasonable. And also no naps 7 hours before bed to avoid this nap interfere with our sleep pattern. And practicing some sleep hygiene could be helpful as well. How? Well, try to make your room very dark, clean, not too cold, not too hot, around 15 to 20 Celsius degrees could be good. Avoid screens as well once you are in bed. Establish a night routine, and very, very important, get enough sun. We know probably right now we don't have a lot of sun, but we can also take vitamin D supplements to balance a little bit more, or vitamin D.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to our last segment, social support network, so that you have people around you who can best support you throughout your academic career. So I know that there's many challenges, especially within this area. The first are cultural differences. Of course, Elizabeth mentioned English proficiency. If you're struggling with the language, it's really difficult to connect with your peers and communicate with your faculty members or your staff. So maybe it comes down to meeting up with other international students so that you can all practice English together. That's just an example, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Of course, cultural differences when it comes to religion and partying is a big issue, especially when you're new, you're young, and you're in a new environment, especially at post-secondary education. We know that it can be really challenging to deal with these two issues, especially if you're living alone and not with family. And of course, the psychological worries of being alone, homesickness, and feeling like you're not belonging can be very challenging. And lastly, is something that was brought to my attention, different communication styles in Canada. We're typically described as very direct and assertive, and that can be very different from other cultures, right? And so it's learning that it's not a form of aggression, but simply a way of communicating. So these are only a few of the challenges that you might face. And we'll get into how you can overcome those challenges.
Well, here are some tips. The knowledge of the host culture, in this case, Canada, may make you feel safe and help you develop sense of belonging. So if you try to do some research about Canada, about some important cultural aspects, probably will make you feel more like you are at home, right? So think about what are the reasons that sometimes you decide not to socialize. And this is very important because there is a why. And what is that? Probably worries about your English proficiency, probably some fears or some negative thoughts about socializing with other cultures, or probably negative emotions. Am I feeling depression, anxiety? What am I feeling? And we invite you to take a problem-solving approach, which basically consists on identify what is the problem and then what could be the consequently solution. For instance, if I've been struggling to socialize or to participate in class because I'm worried about my English proficiency, what can I do then? Okay, well, probably I can look for opportunities to practice that skills. I can join to some clubs, some conversational clubs as well, that we are going to talk about those resources at the end of this workshop. Or think about why I'm not socializing. Well, probably because I'm feeling depressed and I'm not in the mood of socialize. Okay, then talk to someone, talk to your peers, or just ask for help. So talk to someone about your worries may be very useful, because that will give you a perspective of what is the problem, and then think about the solution. There is always a solution, and there is always options.
Okay, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Okay, so now we're just going to go over with, oh boy, tongue twister at the end of the day. So we're just going to do an overview of how to reduce your stress at this time. So the first, practice physical activity regularly and do something you love. If you don't like running, don't go running. If you like dancing, then maybe you need to move some furniture in your living room and just put on the music and dance. Do whatever it takes to get your physical activity in regularly. Try to find a balanced pattern of eating. That's the next thing. And of course, this will be different for everyone. So do what is best for you when it comes to food, and especially if you're struggling to find something that's equal to your own cultural food. Drink water regularly. This is great you can get really nice water bottles that you can put into your bag. So it's actually a really nice way of expressing yourself as well. That's what I like to tell people. Get enough sleep. This is also very particular to each person. If you are someone who just gets 6 hours, that's fine. If you're someone who needs 8 or 10 hours, that's also fine. Just make sure that you prioritize that and you get into your schedule so that you know that you are going to be ready for the next day. Practice your English communication skills. That's your next one. And of course, stay in touch with your friends and family. They're there to support you. They want you to do well. Stay in touch with them if you can.
So now we are presenting some resources for you. We hope that they are useful. So just a friendly reminder that you are safe here. So don't be afraid of sharing your thoughts or your feelings. I know that probably some international students are afraid of consequences of sharing what they are struggling, right? As we mentioned before, the admission process, it could be challenging, and probably we don't want to ruin that, right? And we could have some worries about our future or consequences in case we look for help. Like, oh no, we're not going to admit that person because he's emotionally unstable, and that is not going to happen because we are working with health professionals, and all the information that we give is confidential. So you are safe here. Don't be afraid.
Okay, well, so I'm actually just going to say really quickly, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment here, and I'm going to share the study guide so that Elizabeth can describe it here for you. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caprice. So here we have some cool tools that personally, as an international student, I've found very useful. The number one is to make a weekly schedule. Algonquin College has provided us these templates to have an organized agenda. So we are going to share these templates and these links, the access to the links as well with you in the chat. And basically, we are suggesting to schedule, first of all, the hours of our classes, of the hours of our courses. Then the hours that we are going to spend sleeping, right? And then what time am I going to take my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, my snack? How about what time am I going to drink water in case that I have some difficulties to drink water as well? And also we suggest to establish what time are we going to do some exercise, some physical activity. What time are we going to study? And very, very important, what time will be my leisure time or my socializing time as well? And you will realize that, well, if we just say, I'm going to socialize when I have time, well, then we'll never have that time. But if we establish a schedule, so probably that could give us a more realistic sense of the time, right? And to realize that actually we can do that. We can do all of this.
Yes, and not put pressure on yourself either. You can always adjust how you schedule your time based on the schedule. Or maybe, especially because you're in virtual classes, maybe you have a bit more time in the evening because you don't have to commute. So that could be your exercise time, or that's when you meal prep. It's very flexible. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen for the next resource.
Okay, the next resource will be a semester plan. Algonquin College also has this template for us, and it's super useful because in 2 or 3 pages, you can have available all your due dates, all your assignments, or your quizzes, and you have them visible week by week in every course that you take. So we will have our CSI or course section information. And in that document that we have for every of our courses, we have a section in which we can see the activities and the due dates and the quizzes as well. We just have to copy and paste that column in every class and in every course that we have, okay? And also you can see the number of weeks. So we have around 15 weeks. We all know that week 8 is the midterm break, so we don't have classes there. So by doing the semester plan, we have available all our due dates for the entire semester. So personally speaking, it's a useful tool because that way it's difficult that you miss something, right?
Yeah.
Since we are working virtually, it's challenging because sometimes we are not seeing all the courses or the classes that we have available because everything is just in the computer, and that could be easy to miss out something, right? So to avoid that, we are suggesting to use this useful tool.
Yes, and definitely print it off. And if you don't have a printer that has a color in it, you can just use a pencil or a crayon that you have and fill it in on your own. It's nice to have something visual, and you can just place this on your fridge or above your desk where you work, and you can always reference it and change it if your professors do make changes to the CSI. Okay, and then we have one last resource. I'll stop sharing and then I'll share again. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Thank you. We also have access to the library, and there the link is provided with you in the chat. So there we have plenty of resources to help us to cope with all these stressors. For instance, we, as you can see, we have this is the website, and we have some cool tools for learning in which we can have access to tips, strategies, services. We have also the peer tutoring and coaching, in which our peers are there to help us, probably with some assignments that we find challenging or some courses that we find challenging. And also we have the calendar for plenty of workshops that are happening all the time. So probably using these tools will help us will give us more tools to cope with some stressors that we may face.
Yes, that's very true. Thank you. And the library isn't the only one. There's plenty of other resources at the campus. The IEC, Caitlin can talk of or speak to. There's plenty of resources at the SSS. So please go ahead and just browse the Algonquin College website if you're looking for more information for sure. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen once again. I do apologize for going back and forth like this. Okay, can everyone see the screen? Good, okay. So the next is counseling services. So I know that visiting counseling services can be really daunting. It might not feel like it's for you, but not to worry. You can just try it out and see if you find someone that is helpful for you. And it's available 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They do offer virtual sessions. So I do suggest the virtual sessions because they can see your face. It's tough if you go in person because you still have to wear your mask. And sometimes when you're sharing things, so very personal, deep feelings, it can be really difficult when they can't see your face and see actually how you're feeling. So I do suggest the virtual appointments, and they do have international student counselors, so they're aware of the difficulties that you might face. Okay, and some apps.
Yes, we have also these apps. MyFitnessPal is useful to track our food consumption. Healthy Minds is a self-guided app in which we can log our mood or how are we feeling every day. And the Mindfulness Coach is an app in which we can learn some strategies to cope with stress and also to help us to have a good quality of sleep.
Okay, so we've come to the end, and we just want to say thank you so much for coming. I hope you got something out of this. And as a final reminder that self-care is not selfish. Taking care of your body and your mind is not selfish at all. And in fact, you're doing yourself a favor because if your body and mind are working well, you know that you'll be able to flourish and do well in your courses. And you're not alone, we're here to help. So I will stop sharing my screen now. And if you have any questions, or Caitlin, if you have anything you'd like to add, we can address them and we can talk about it now.
We have a question of Maxine. What are the ways you can evaluate that you are emotionally well?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start with that one. You have to know what your baseline is. So maybe it requires doing a bit of reflection. What is a time that you felt really well, really stable? And then compare that to how you're feeling now. Sometimes when you write it down and you put it in words, you can journal it out and you can see the differences that you might not be able to realize when you're just thinking about it. And if you find that how you're feeling right now or what you wrote down is distressing to you, then certainly reach out for help. And even if it's not distressing, but you think that you can do better, there are plenty of supports here to support you. Maybe it just requires reaching out for social support, reaching out to just make new friends. That can really help. Does anyone else have something to add?
Just a brief comment that if you're having some doubts, you can always reach out the counseling services as well, so they can give you a a professional evaluation of your mood as well, if you're worried about that.
Just one thing I'm going to add. I know that in the last few events we've had with international students, a lot of students have, especially new students, are feeling, with COVID and being new, it's really hard to make connections and build that support network. So I know that these ladies touched on this earlier, but just a reminder that we do a lot of events, and I know it can be hard to push yourself to attend, but it is a really great way to make connections. I know the Students Association is doing a speed friending event next week. That looks awesome, a great way to connect with people. We also have the International Peer Mentorship Program, where we're looking for both mentors and mentees. So it's a really good way to build your network and connect with other international students who are experiencing the same thing as you. So get in touch if you have questions about upcoming events, and I put the email in here. It's iecsupport@algonquincollege.com.
I'll also place the link for the Mental Health Awareness Week that has the speed funding, and I'll also be there with Quinn. So it's through the Wellness and Equity Center, and Health Services is going to be there just to provide some extra resources and facilitate conversation. So please don't be shy. You can drop in. A lot of these events as well, I don't know, it might be different for you, Caitlin, but there's a few where if you sign up and you realize that, oh, actually, I'm not able to make it, I have an appointment, it's okay, you'll still get a recording. We want to see you in person, though. We love to have people here to engage and interact, but if that's the case, and you can't, there's still an opportunity to see what information was offered. And I apologize for my cat meowing in the background here.
So Maxim just has a question here. Does the calendar in Brightspace include all those events you mentioned? So the tricky thing here, and correct me if I'm wrong here, ladies, is that there are 3 different calendars, event calendars. There's the International Education calendar, there's the Students Association, and the Student Support Services calendar. And sometimes we work together and they'll be on both calendars, but at the moment you do have to, from what I know, you have to go to 3 different places to check the events. Is that right?
Yes, that's right, unfortunately. And there's a 4th calendar for the resident students. So it's very frustrating. It's been suggested that Algonquin should just have a compilation of calendars so that it's all in one. Hopefully we get that soon. Okay, so it seems to have come to the end. Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh, yes. Do you have another question?
Yeah, so does the app I sent have those 3 current calendars?
That is a really good question. I have to take a look. I don't know if I think the app just has the International Education Center, but you know what? I've posted 1 calendar in the chat, and I will post the other 2 as well. So you can just save them and bookmark them and check back frequently.
Yes, thank you so much, Caitlin.
Yeah, we also have a calendar on Brightspace with the majority of the events. In the superior right part of Brightspace, we have that calendar as well.